Hi, Soleira Green, and welcome to the New World Lead.
Yes.
Yes.
Exciting.
I have invited you to this conversation because you are, I guess, you are one of these persons always living in the realm of infinite possibilities to me.
Yes, I am. Yes. That's me.
Such a big source of inspiration for
Thanks.
me, for everyone I know that have been part of your courses and your network for so many years. We met for the first time back in 2006, I think.
That long ago. Oh my God.
Yes.
That's amazing.
That
Yeah.
is amazing.
Yeah.
And all I know about visionary coaching, I've learned from you. You have read such a huge amount of inspirational books on consciousness, on genius, on leadership, visionary leadership, obviously, about becoming superhuman.
Yes.
Kind of fantasy novels and everything about how we create this beautiful and brilliant future for ourselves.
Yes.
You're obviously a future innovator, a visionary author, a quantum coach. You host all these groups for innovating consciousness for the world.
Yes.
You lead courses on genius, source leadership, quantum ALLchemy, as you call it. And
Yes.
yeah, you're just such a huge inspiration. And now, I just embarked a couple of months ago on this new project, the New World Lead.
Yeah.
Which is all about how-tos, actually. How do we create the world we love to live in? How do we create from a position of love and freedom, abundance, and the possibilities, infinite possibilities, instead of and like an expanded state of being, instead of contracted position that I guess we all know so very, very well, actually, because that was the world we were born into, most of us. So I'm just so eager to hear your perspectives on everything about this. But I want to start by asking you, Soleira Green, how do we create the world we love to live in?
Oh, what a wonderful question. I love it. Well, I think when I first started, and I would say in the last 20 to 25 years, I've always been like leaping into the next new thing. And at some points that was hard for people because they just kind of get stabilized in one place, and then I'd be off into the next new possibility emerging, because that excites me. I think it's exciting to explore possibilities. And of course, I started as well working in consciousness, but then when I discovered that you could innovate consciousness and gift that into the world's consciousness, that for me is a huge part of how I elevate the whole possibility and future of the world and the now of the world as well. Because it's kind of like the consciousness is the constructs we live within, the beliefs we hold, the energy structures of that which we live and breathe. And when we did a lot of work on, like, consciousness used to be something way out there. Now it's more, and I think that's a lot of the work we've done over the years, not just the groups I've been in, but many people, we're bringing it into a kind of thriving presence of what, so I would use the term the quantum field. So the air we breathe is much more quantumized now. And what I mean by quantum is it holds the fabric of possibility and innovation and ideas and genius and things that we haven't thought of with our brains or been taught by our brains. that true innovation isn't just an improvement of what is, it's a leap into new possibilities of how things can be.
Yeah, and that is so important, like this just breaking out of the box and really creating, like really living on the leading edge of consciousness all the time. Because I just want to well, when I think about consciousness, I am maybe a little trapped in David Hawkins' work on the different levels of consciousness. He explaining how we have we can experience the world from a level of shame or guilt, or anger, or frustration, or sadness, etc. And that is a very low vibrating level of consciousness that obviously creates a world with those qualities. Then, as he puts it, the breakthrough to higher levels of consciousness is the level of courage, in which we begin to affirm ourselves, like, I'm allowed to be here, I can do it, I am whatever, I am a creator, not a victim. Like the lower levels of consciousness is victim states of consciousness, whereas I am the creator. And then it just goes on and on from like courage and to love and above, so to speak. But the way, every time I meet you, every time I read some work from you, I always have the feeling that you have totally innovated the concept of consciousness, and
yes, I have.
going kazoom out
yes,
of the
I
ground.
have. Yes. But what's interesting about it, the way that I'm working in it, and others are working in it as well, it's the presence of it. It's the power and beauty of it. So I talk about 5 different levels as well. So I'll just describe them quick, because they're really, and you would have heard me talk about at least 4 of them back in 2006 when we met, right? But it's like there's the ordinary level, which can be good or not good, wherever you are in it. And it's kind of humming along down about the kind of down here somewhere. And then there's the opening level, like kind of where, oh, you open your heart, you get aware of energy, you start to explore, you're on a journey of discovery, but there's still, it's you and there's the power out there, or the power somewhere else, right? And then you go into the visionary level, where you've gone into wholeness and the passion is rising and the visions are coming forth and you're wanting to make a difference in the world. So you're operating in a whole state of energetic wholeness in yourself. You're more open. And now you're really creating vision. And then you go into the 4th level, which is more transformative, sometimes even transcendent. So it's more, you go into that higher level of consciousness, where consciousness is more out there. Then we're here and we're working in the higher levels to make transformation happen. But when you pop into the 5th level, it's what I would call wild open. So it's where you become the creator of life, and a creator of life, for sure, a source being who is able to alchemically influence the fields that we occur in, the quantum field, the genius field, the normal field, the energetic fields, etc. And you become a kind of walking presence of a source creator. So at that level, it's not like consciousness is there and we're here and then we go to touch it. It's more like we're the superflow of the universe, creating newness, new possibilities, new futures, etc.
You're actually embodying the whole field.
Yes, and you have to be wild open to let the power of that superflow come through you. You've probably had days like that, where everything you want to say just flows out of your fingertips really fast, or you start to talk and you're saying all these wonderful things. Those are superflow days, right?
Yeah.
And it's a state of presence and what I would call a new kind of power. Because if you look at those 5 levels, it's the levels of power. There's power over, there's soft, kind power, there's visionary, creative power, there's transformative power, and then there's source power. And source power is an alchemical activational force. So you're learning to operate in the fields of possibilities and genius and ideas and innovation, to activate possibilities and supercharge the fields, and then draw those fields into presence for yourself, for your life, for the world, so that the consciousness, the soup we live in, is evolving because we can innovate new possibilities into it. So now I call it, I'm writing my 16th book called
Wow,
Sourcing Fabulous Futures.
that is so amazing.
And it requires that we become alchemists, activating the quantum field and the quantum field for me is a very real thing. It's very tangible and practical. It's not, a lot of people say, whoa, like that. It's kind of like an invisible force, you know? But to me, it's so tangible that all I have to do is just like go like that, and stuff just happens on a very practical level too. It's
How,
not
how practical? Tell me about that.
Oh, everything. I mean, opportunities. I have friends who message me and say, I have this and that wrong with me health-wise, or my husband's lost his job, or whatever it is, right? And I just go into the quantum field, put them in the focus and go, and everything works out. I was just on a Source Leadership call where I was saying to them, you might think I'm almost operating miraculously, but I'm hardly doing anything. I'm just supercharging the field of possibilities for them. And the field creates the miraculous stuff for them. I wouldn't know what that is.
So you're just
You know what I mean?
you're just opening the space or holding the space for all this fabulousness to happen.
Yeah, supercharging that space in the field. So the field, it's almost like the universe has great things waiting for us. And we get caught up in the stuff of life. The stuff the news tells us, the stuff the government does, the stuff that, you know, the climate change, whatever it is, or things that go on in our, we get caught up in the vibrational frequency that's at a lower level, where you can actually be an effective alchemizer of possibilities and innovative solutions, and et cetera, et cetera. So once you come into this wild open state, it's like all of that, the universe, consciousness, all of the things that we used to think were out there are like, you embody it, you presence it, you flow the beauty and power and wonder of it. It's just an extraordinary transition into a new way of being with everything, and being able to be source creators of life and futures and all of that good stuff.
And it's so expanding, and it's so it's enlivening everything around you.
The vitality is extraordinary. I mean, I'm 73.
I know, it's amazing.
And I mean,
younger and younger by the years.
Well, yeah, and I'm not even like really trying to be. I'm just loving life and running the power through me of the universe and doing great things, and you know, that kind of stuff. Yeah, I will also say, because a lot of people say, well, how do you deal with problems and challenges, right? Well, in truth, for Centauri now, they hardly ever come up anymore. Now, he did have a heart operation too.
He has some
years
help.
ago.
Did.
Most people would say, oh, that's a problem, that's a challenge. Well, actually, it really wasn't for us. It occurred very differently. Even Centauri, when I was on the phone, because it was right in COVID, I couldn't go to the hospital, I didn't know what was happening, so we'd have to have phone calls. And he was going in for the triple bypass, and he said, I'm okay if I go. I said, yeah, okay, I'm okay if you go too, but see if we just can't power up good stuff, you know?
You could also stay.
So I contacted all my buddies. I said, he's in the operation now, let's go. And what we did was just this extraordinary power just moved through us. for a new relationship with the physicality of the world, with the source being of our bodies, of everything. And I won't say he didn't have some challenges, you know, as he recovered from all that. But really, you should see him today. He's like Mr. Energizer Bunny. Yesterday, he leapt out of bed at 5 a.m., walked up the hill, like all uphill, 2 miles, and came back and was like, he's just so full of life and full of energy. And it's not just that, oh, the arteries are better or whatever. It's remade him in a spectacular way. So for us, it didn't occur the way it would occur for most people. And I knew that even if he'd gone, that wouldn't occur for me the way it would occur for most people. I would prefer he stayed, and he did, thank goodness. But I knew that both he and I would be okay because we perceive it. We perceive that differently. We don't perceive death as the end. We perceive death as a new journey, you know, and the adventure of what's coming next. And so it doesn't occur for me the way it would have occurred to me 30 years ago or 40 years ago, you know, when my dad died and I was traumatized for some time. And, you know, it just doesn't, it's not like that for me now because I have such a view of the wonder of the universe and how life is meant to operate, that I live in that space completely now. And that changes everything for me.
Yeah, obviously it's all about the perspective and how you choose to how you choose to focus the energy.
Yeah.
And
it's also a consciousness shift. It's a way of realizing life is a constant series of adventures, and most people see it as a constant series of struggles. Do you know what I mean? Like that, it's the difference between level 1 and level 5.
I get it. But Soleira, I guess it wasn't always, as you say, it wasn't always like that for you. You've also had experiences of rooted in fear, control, lack and limitations, and all the old paradigm stuff. What was the shift for you?
Well, there were probably a bunch of them, but I would say the main one for me was my epiphany on the top of the Glastonbury tour in 1996. So I was working in the United States at the time. I'm Canadian, but I was working there. And 9-to-5 job, and, you know, middle management type thing. And I was called to come on vacation to Glastonbury. And June 21st, 1996, I'm up on the top of the Glastonbury tour in the middle of the night, 2 a.m. in the morning, with all these people dancing and drumming and singing. And this energy went through me and out of me. And I just knew it was like a turning point. And I remember sitting there and thinking, I can't go back. I can't go back to that life. And that changed everything for me. So I went back, sold everything I had, got 2 suitcases, and came back to England, not knowing how I was going to do anything, and went to work voluntarily almost for 6 months at a place. And I met Centauri then, and we got married, and then the adventure began. You know, it was like, and it's been an evolving adventure ever since. And struggles, like there was one point where we had 75 pounds in the bank and we were living in a 2-bedroom tent on the backside of the tour. It was the most magical time of my whole life. It was the first book I wrote, what happened there, because I went and rented a computer for £5 and wrote a book. You know, like, and our life has just been like that. We've become creators of our lives as opposed to responders to how life hits you. So no matter what's come, we turn it into newness and possibility and adventure, no matter what it is. So I don't really have fear anymore, I would say. I mean, I don't want to say I'm completely fearless. I don't want to go and swim in the middle of the ocean, you know, but But the adventure is more important to me than anything else. And the adventure into possibility, the adventure into newness, the adventure into creating fabulous futures and fabulous lives is the world. See, to me, I kind of gave up a while ago my own personal attachment to identity and being whatever I want to be, success and all that. So I kind of gave that up and said to the universe, I'm yours. What do you want? Let's do this thing. And it gives me, or whatever that it is, it gives me the 15 books I've written. It gives me the posts I write. The posts I write, I wake up in the morning, pick up my phone and type them in 2 minutes. That's how my posts go. I've had people tell me they can take them hours to create things, and they're beautiful what they create, but it's superflow state. And it's a different way of being than being a personal human being walking around on the earth, being bounced around by life. You become a source creator existing in the superflow state, activating the quantum possibilities. And life practically becomes glorious in every way. That's the only way I could probably talk about it, is that.
So much sense. I think you told me at one point that you had been working as a clairvoyant and a channeler at some point.
Yes. Yep, I did.
But the way you channel the energy now is different, right?
Very different. Yeah, very different. When I was channeling, it was more like I would get out of the way and some other form of consciousness, if people would talk about it as masters or whatever, I would give it space to speak through me. And I did that for a good number of years, probably about 5 years. And I did it like 10 hours a day kind of thing with people. And then I realized, you know what? I don't think the human race is going to evolve if we're constantly getting out of the way and letting some higher force be the voice. I think we need to be the voices. So I stopped cold turkey, and boy, I really missed it too, because I loved doing it. It was just a fabulous sense. And I took it on that I would speak those words. I would speak that, you could call it wisdom, so it's not a term I use, but the beauty, the power, the wonders of that which wants to be gifted to the world can flow through us as us. And what happens when you do that, it's not just, oh, I make room for the universe. No, it's me as the universe, uniquely bringing through my essence, my passions, my visions as the universal story or movement that wants to unfold. And that's the key. You have to marry your own self with the universal energies and powers and forces, and then you create something else. And I will say, when I started to do it, it was hard for people to hear.
Yeah, I can imagine that because you have always been so way ahead of your time, so to speak. I guess time is catching up with you.
Yeah, well, now there's so many people now that are just curious and interested in something fresh and new. They're looking for it. And because it's all presenced in a very practical way, it's no longer like weird. Well, I don't think it's weird. I mean, there might still be some people watching this who think these people are crazy. But it's very presenced and practical now, as opposed to I would sit and like go way out and that. Now it's like eyes open, high vibe energy, bringing through something so new and fresh and exciting that it has its own magnetism and dynamism attached to it. So now there's a real interesting response to it that's different than before. I would say that's been so for about a year and a half, maybe.
Sense. It's funny because last year I don't remember now the name of the author, but I read about this way of viewing consciousness as of viewing like us, how we are in the world, so to speak, that we can either perceive life as happening to us, or we can experience life as happening by us, or we can experience life as happening through us, like the channeling state, or we can experience life as us, like to this super creational space, becoming one with all.
Yes,
and I remember when I read it, I was like, wow, that's just what Soleira always told.
Yes. You see, once you put something in consciousness as a new possibility, it pops up everywhere. Yes. There's no ownership of it, even if you're the original originator. There's no ownership in that space because it's meant to be coming through for everybody. And each person who picks it up brings a unique piece to it. Now, if I talked about that practically, like if you were working with a company with teams trying to do innovation, I would call it collaborative genius fusion. That's my term for it. But so because whereas you do like green lighting or trying to create in a team, this person has this idea and you put it up in a board and then you scratch those ideas off and then you pick one or two. This is more like, every idea is the perfect fit. And when you merge them all together, you get this genius fusion that happens. Then you get a possibility emerges from it that's beyond anything any one of them thought of in the first place. But it's collaborative co-creation that's alchemical. And that's what we do when we're innovating consciousness. I'm not leading it. I'm not directing it. I don't say, okay, let's do this. I say, go.
And then everybody just line up and
everybody does
the space is
theirs to do in the biggest scheme of creating life for the universe and the world, and then each one shares what they get. And I have an ability to kind of understand and see energy and consciousness in a way where most people are like, well, I don't know how to tell you what I just did, but I can tell you what just happened. I can see it, sense it, know it. I hear it. I get all the facilities in it, so I can see what we're creating. And then once you understand it, now it really starts to take shape. So you can keep creating in that space and you're expanding because you can understand it. And a lot of people, I don't think, understand that which is invisible to us. Because consciousness and energy tend to be invisible to people. Most people. Some people can really see it, and really.
No, still, but one of your superpowers is definitely to see it and then describe it, and also create new words for it. And
that used to get me in trouble. What, this woman's creating new terms? Well, the stuff is occurring in such a new space. It needs new language. It needs to be freed from a lower vibrational construct and put into a new framework. So I'm always inventing new words.
So
I love it. Yeah, I love doing it.
How do you see leadership?
Oh, that's so interesting.
Yeah.
Okay. So let me just, those 5 levels. I want to talk about leadership and power for a minute. Okay, so at the normal range of human experience, you've got hierarchical leadership and power over a kind of hierarchical power. I'm the boss, you're the employee, I'll tell you what to do. And then I'll measure you and see how successful you were in what I told you to do. It's like that. It's very structured. And as you open up to the second level, you get a kind of more caring kind of leadership, more respectful of others, and being more aware of what's going on with them and being more helpful. And then when you go into visionary leadership, you're creating an ambiance in a culture in which others can buy into the vision and share the passion. There's more vitality, there's more creativity, there's more collaboration. And the power has much more to do with the vision than it does with the person.
Mm.
And then when you go into the fourth level of transformative, I think the power is much more energetic. And you're starting to be able to work in energy spaces and starting to be able to learn how to transform things, how to move them to the next level of their potential. And then when you go into this fifth level, it's totally co-creative. It's hugely dynamic. The power is a beautiful thing. It's not power over. It's more than creative power as well. It's an alchemical force for life that just uplifts and elevates all of life. And it's a beautiful state. At that point, you're becoming what I call source leadership. And source leadership is where you become a source for something. And that ethos that you are, that energy that you source, pervades everything. I was just talking about this on the Source Leadership call I just did. So, I just did a whole event looking at the Glastonbury Festival, which happens just down the road from us, about 8 miles down the road, right? And Michael Eavis is the founder of the Glastonbury Festival. He started it in 1971 because of the Woodstock Festival. And he had this farm, and he thought, well, I'll have a festival. And I think he had like 100 people show up and whatever. Now there's 210,000 people on 12 fields. Not just music, it's a creative mecca, a super mecca. It's full of love, it's full of joy. And I was just saying, he's a source for it. And his ethos pervades the whole place. People talk about it as utopia, as a love fest, as like they're all the posts this week, because they went home on Sunday and Monday, are like the Glastonbury Blues, because they're like, oh my God, I want to be back there. I want to live there. I want to, because his ethos, he sourced this beautiful collaborative space. Even I heard he put all the music stages on the ley lines that run through here.
Wow.
So every music stage was on a ley line. What? I'm like, who does that? Like,
maybe you should explain, what are ley lines?
Oh, energy lines that course through the world, and they happened a lot of them meet on the Glastonbury tour and spread through this area here, and then go off into other places like the Egyptian pyramids and the Mayan ruins and Sedona. They all the ley lines merge through their energy lines through the earth. So
just like we have energy lines in our bodies.
Yeah.
There are energy lines on the planet, or in the planet, connecting everything.
Yes.
Actually, also, is it the center of the heart chakra?
Well, they say that. I have no idea whether that's true or not. It certainly feels that way.
It feels that way. When I visited the Glastonbury, I really felt completely different energy, frequency, vibration than on any other part of the globe that I've been traveling around the world.
Tara and I traveled around for a year and a half, and we were like, we're coming back here. This is where we belong. But you can feel it. You come over the hill from Bristol, which is about half an hour's drive away. You come over the hill and you can see the tour in the distance. You can feel the difference. You drive into it. The field of energy that comes off this area is extraordinary. And so many people have contributed that over so long that it's an extraordinary place and the whole of the town of Glastonbury is a creative mecca as well. They have a 55 building art murals, like 2-story high art on buildings, 55 of them, and they have a mural trail now, and there are musicians always on the street busking. always, and everybody dresses the way they want to dress. It's like there's no dress code. It's like rainbow hair and elf ears, and
it's just for you. That is actually your magical surroundings, your magical. It
that's
makes
where I live.
yeah, it makes
It
total
is quite,
sense.
quite extraordinary. And I would say, if I applied that out to everybody, you kind of have to find where your home is, the place in the world where you dwell in your greatest part of yourself, the place where the energy is calling you into the biggest work that you can contribute to the planet. When you find that place, it's so helpful to living life in these kind of higher vibe presences.
Obviously.
It's so different. So I'm having said all that, I want to bring it back to what you were talking about, problem versus possibility. And I want to say one thing about that. Every problem has in it enormous potential and possibility. It's kind of why it comes to us. I don't think it's, and I think one of the things I've been about in recent years is trying to shift us from having to have traumas and problems and struggles in order to get breakthroughs. Because if we were more consciously aware of the signals that are being given to us by the universe, the source, whatever you want to call that, then we don't have to have the problem occur to get the movement. You can get the movement forward for the breakthrough without the problem. The problems only come to source the breakthroughs. And so if you're still experiencing problems and challenges, then the best thing you can do is get the breakthrough as fast as you can get it. So as fast as you get it, the problem disappears.
And that makes total sense. I mean, like from a scientific point of view of these, I mean, like the problems are vibrating on lower frequencies. So when you get access to higher frequencies, I mean, like the problems just fall away. But then what I experience once in a while, when I stand right before a new breakthrough, it is as if I am being pulled a little back and a little down, and I just dip my toes in some childhood trauma or some of these old things, and I'm like, what the is this still here? And why is this still coming here? And then I'm like, oh, maybe it's just because I'm just going, whoa. And then I don't know if I'm going like a little back or down in order to have more speed forward and upwards. I have thought
can I give you an explanation of this? And a lot of people will disagree with me about this, and I'm okay with that. So if they don't believe it, it's okay with me. So the consciousness is very immersed at the moment into looking to the past to resolve the present. It started with psychology in the 60s, 70s. Really, psychology came to the fore in those years. And then it emerged into spiritual clearing and ancestral and all of that in the past. But one of the things I've discovered, don't look there. Just don't look. It doesn't matter. It's not relevant, really, truly. Because when you look there, it drops your vibration. And even if you clear it, it's like you said, what? It's back again? No, it really isn't back again. It's only because you looked.
Ah, yeah, of course. It was so funny because I got the message also, don't look back. You're not going that way.
Yeah, no.
And I was like,
look up.
That's right. That's right. I have to look that way because this is where I'm going.
Because people spend a lot of time in the processing of the past instead of in the emergence of the breakthrough.
Yeah.
And a lot of people really, truly believe that you have to process the past to get to the breakthrough. I know that's not true. You can just go straight for the breakthrough. And then the past just disappears. It's irrelevant. it doesn't matter actually, because the breakthrough supersedes everything.
But how do we then perceive of how do we perceive of the war in Ukraine right now?
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
I have my own views of it, my own theories of it.
Yeah. It just popped
I
up.
can see it on many levels. Okay, I can see it on many levels, and I can get people wouldn't necessarily agree with me either, or they might go, yeah, and there's more than that.
Doesn't matter.
The breakthroughs that I've seen coming from it, even though, like, yes, there's a lot of terrible things going on, I get it, is the emergence of a culture that's emerging. I'm not saying it was always there, maybe it was, but the emergence of a culture in Ukraine and the inspiration that's coming from that is quite extraordinary. And okay, I'll use a different example. I read a book years ago called Urban Shaman by Serge King, and he's a shaman. And he was sharing the secrets of the Kahuna shamans. And he said, if a hurricane is heading towards a city, a highly populated area, that sometimes the shamans can go in and they can turn the hurricane, veer it slightly away from the populated area. But sometimes you can't veer it away from the populated area because it has a purpose of going there. And he said what they discovered when they couldn't veer it away and it was going to go there is that if you looked at that area later, the regeneration, the economic, monies that came into it, all of that kind of thing was extraordinary in how it grew the area. So the hurricane had a purpose. And it's kind of like, and I'm not suggesting we have wars for purpose. I think we should have no more wars. And in fact, when it started, the Ukraine war, I thought, this is the last one. This is the one that ends all the wars forever, because we're right on the cusp of this, right? And I know there's wars in the world. I get that. And I do not agree with them. And I don't ever want to see them happen again. But there is a potential and a possibility emerging from that horrible strife that's occurring. Again, remember I said trauma to breakthrough? That the world doesn't easily move to breakthroughs. Like if we could just get no wars, we wouldn't have to go through all this stuff. So there's all of this newness and I've never seen a war occur like this in this way. Most wars you experience, I mean, even with this one, you experience the awfulness of it, right? The news is constantly full of it. But there's also an inspiration behind it. There's a newness embedded in it that's quite interesting. The way the whole population surged forth, the way all the men went into, the Ukrainian men joined the forces to fight. And did you hear the story about the drones? What they did with the drones? Do you remember when it first started? We're a little off topic, but this is a really interesting story.
Yeah.
You remember there was a huge, like miles and miles and miles of tanks coming from Russia into the Ukraine and heading for Kiev. I think that's how you pronounce it. And then it stopped, right? How it stopped is these 5 guys who had been working with the previous Ukrainian army, military, were drone guys, and they had just been let go by the military because they weren't going to do it anymore. So these drone guys took their drones and dropped munitions on the first tanks.
Ooh.
And the tanks got stalled in the road and nobody could get around them. So it stopped the whole, it was a David and Goliath story. Did you never hear that story?
I didn't hear that story.
Oh, you see, I was following it all really closely because when it first happened, my consciousness innovation group, we spent the whole of the first 2 weeks working on miraculous possibilities coming from it. So it's still amazing to me that it's still going. I'm in amazement that, whoa, like I've never seen anything take so long to fulfill its breakthrough. But for whatever reason, everything has purpose. And I'm sitting with the greater purpose of it,
Yeah.
and continuing to, and the other thing that happened with this that I thought was fascinating is, I don't think, usually if something like that happened, you would bring the whole country. That didn't happen with this.
No.
You saw the Russian people and the Ukrainian people, like they weren't that different. And it wasn't like that. It didn't occur in the same way. And I thought, this is really interesting that you see it more as hierarchical leadership going on. And that's emerging into something new right now. The whole of the hierarchical leadership is just dissipating in the world. I'm watching it dissipate. And a lot of people would make a case that that's not so. I get it, but I'm watching it dissipate in very subtle ways.
How do you see that?
Well, I don't think I want to get into politics per se, or even in various countries, but if you notice a lot of the really vocal, well, okay, in the UK, Boris Johnson was the prime minister who took us out, Brexit and the whole crazy stuff. And now he's been left Parliament. He's been virtually kicked out of Parliament. Like, that's just one example of a recognition of something like, hey guys, I don't think we can do it this way. And there are stories right now, I share them in some of the groups I'm in, like in Paris, there's a 15-street block of neighbors who created a coalition of neighbors. It's called something of neighbors. I can't remember. It's like and they create projects for themselves to support one another. In London, there's a guy, he and his wife, they're artists, and they decided they'd turn their whole street into a solar-powered street. And they crowdfunded the whole thing and got like hundreds of thousands of pounds and thousands of people joining a membership. And they documented the whole process, and they turned the whole, even people who couldn't afford solar power suddenly everybody got solar power on the street. And then he's created how other neighborhoods can do the same thing. Because when you do a whole neighborhood, you get discounts on the solar power. So it was
actually the kind of stories, the kind of inspiration that we really need.
Yeah, it's innovation.
It makes us think, it makes us expand our consciousness, it makes us, it inspires to search for new possibilities.
Yeah, well, it's where we're going. It's crowd-sourced, citizen-created, collaborative, co-creative communities. And I think that's where we're going, is that way.
It's so interesting how the power of perspective, the power of storytelling or stories, the power of how we perceive what is occurring in the world. And I've really been, the past couple of years, since the beginning of COVID, I've really been looking at how also the media, the power of the media, and how they perceive events and the storytelling, and how much we need a new a new way of reporting about
exactly. Well, if you come back to what we're talking about, taking every problem has potential and possibilities attached to it, and a breakthrough that's waiting to happen. If we could get more excited about the breakthroughs and less focused on the problem, because the solutions to the breakthroughs occur in the alchemical quantum field. There's solutions there for everything that we haven't thought of yet. I'm amazed by the quantum field. It's just, you could call that consciousness, you could call it the genius field, you could call it the universe. There are many names for it. But in there exist things that we've never thought of before, that nobody's ever thought of before. The universe is dreaming up stuff all the time. And I think our role is to reach out and call that through us, to actualize it into reality. it's not a weirdy woo-woo way to live. It's a very dynamic, high vibing, thriving, creative way to live. And you flow genius through you. You get new ideas by the tons. I get in the shower and they just, like, oh my God, how am I going to remember all this when I get out of the shower?
Okay, so I guess if anyone listening to this feels themselves in a place of lack and limitations, or stuck somewhere, I would highly recommend checking out soleragreen.com and all the fabulous events, courses, possibilities to work with you in groups or one-on-one.
Thank you.
To get new perspectives on anything or everything, because everything is actually possible to alchemize
Yes.
and to and to take to a whole new level, opening up, expanding for possibilities.
Absolutely. And that's creating the world we want to live in, which is what you're up to,
So a short answer, Soleira, to how do we create the world we love to live in? The short answer.
I would say seek newness, seek adventure, seek possibility. Look for the breakthroughs easily. Don't get stuck in the past or anything. Look for what opportunities are on offer from no matter what's happening, no matter what you're viewing, and raise the vibrational frequency and look big. Because when you look big, you get a whole different way of living life. It's more than even becoming a visionary. You become a source creator of life and an alchemical activator of possibilities in the quantum field, if you want to say it that way, which might sound a bit strange.
And it is actually possible for all of us.
Yeah, absolutely.
We all have the possibility
Yes.
inside of us. We just need to awaken to our inner superhuman ability.
Yes. Centaur and I wrote the book, Becoming Superhumans, which is, he wrote chapters, I wrote chapters, we did some together. It's a good book about accessing it for yourself. It's on Amazon.
So you know what, I will make show notes, and I'm also doing a summary on the webpage about you and all your offerings. I will also mention Centaur, your husband, and
oh yeah, he's a whiz.
So I will also invite him on the show at some point.
Oh, fantastic! He'd love that.
He would love that to I know to talk about all his. He also has written a lot of beautiful books that open up. I mean, like the power of fantasy.
Oh yes.
Has, I think, been so underrated.
I agree, because fantasy is the emergence of new ideas and new possibility, and it can reshape. Look at Lord of the Rings, and all the stuff that Gandalf was an inspiration for me. And other books that I've read, they were inspirations. They were a call forward for me to want to be something more.
Yeah, and then being able actually to step into a level of reality or consciousness, and actually making it real, like grounding it and making it like real tangible results all around you.
And can I also say making it your own, as in each person has unique mastery and genius that is unique to them. And it isn't like somebody can say, do this, do this, do this. I mean, yes, those are good things, but you have to discover your own unique source power and your own unique way of expressing that. And I truly believe every single person has unique mastery inside of them. And it's getting that to emerge and express into the world that's hugely important for the whole world to thrive.
Yeah, and it is so important that we all have, I mean, like the rules of the game, so to speak, are so individual. And
Yeah.
when we, instead of searching out there, we go within and open up and become
Yeah.
the whole, we actually get access to our own unique
Yeah.
path, mission, rules,
Absolutely.
everything. In
You know,
order.
I'm just laughing. I just realized I'm sitting in Centauri's office and it says secret lab behind me on his office chair. I thought, yeah, that's us. We're the secret lab. We're co-creating the new world.
So perfect.
Isn't that
Thank
funny?
you so much.
Oh, it's been wonderful. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for doing this. I loved every second of it.